everyone, and welcome to Labor Live at 12:05. My name is Alex Jorgensen, the Deputy Political Director here at the Alaska AFL-CIO, and we have an exciting program for you today. Today, we are going to be talking about workers that are currently striking in the Mat-Su Valley. I think we're just having a little bit of technical difficulties. Oh, our guest is back, so we're good. So today we're talking about workers out of the Mat-Su Valley that have been holding down a strike line for a couple weeks, holding down a strike line from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. most days in the bitter cold, fighting for better conditions and safer conditions for not only the kids that ride the buses in the Mat-Su Valley, but for the workers themselves. So today our special guest, incredible guest, Patrick Fitzgerald, the Teamsters Local 959 Political Coordinator. Patrick, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Alice. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so you guys have some workers out in the Mat-Su Valley that are striking. I was wondering, before we kind of dive into why they're striking or how people at home can help and support the strike, who are these workers?
So basically, Teamsters Local 959 represents school bus workers in Wasilla and Fairbanks for Durham School Services. That includes drivers, monitors, and attendants in both barns. And in the Mat-Su Valley, the barn that's striking, we have about 230 union members out there.
Wow. So how long, when did this strike start?
Well, so we June of 2025. Durham came into, they took a school busing contract 4 years ago, I guess now, in 2022, where we tried to establish an initial contract with them, which that also led to a strike. If anyone was in the Mat-Su Valley in 2023, they knew that we struck for about 5 weeks 3 years ago. So this is the first contract renewal after the initial contract, and unfortunately that has led to another strike. In the time since we've been negotiating in June of 25, there have been, quite a bit of meetings that have been very short. There have been cancellations. There have been, the company has left early from negotiations. Extremely difficult to get them to fly up to Alaska and to negotiate in good faith.
Yeah, and obviously the people at home know, the people in the labor movement know that going on strike and withholding one's labor is really a last resort. It's not something workers want to do. It's something that they have to do in order to secure the goals that they're trying to achieve at the bargaining table. So from my couple times out on the strike line so far, this go around, I've definitely heard that this is not about wages. So I was wondering if you could tell a little bit about our viewers about why these workers are on strike.
Absolutely, yeah. So we have there are quite a few issues that we're dealing with and trying to tackle. One of the biggest ones is we are referring to as Hire Rate. That's a company that is used to do medical testing for contractors, and we have a company, Durham, that is referring a lot of our workers to Hire Rate for basically anything from physical exams to doing sleep studies, things like that. And one of the big issues we have there is the requirements they're asking for are above and beyond what's required by the federal DOT standards. So that means everybody needs to pass a DOT physical to hold a CDL. And there are certain examples of members who are asked to go above and beyond that to prove that they're healthy and capable to drive. The testing aspect is no problem for any of our members. Every single person on the strike line in that unit is happy to do the testing. However, they are being charged to pay for it themselves out of their own pocket. There's also very little reason that the company is for asking them to do these required testing. So a lot of times, some of these workers will be looking at a $3,000, $2,500 bill without really knowing why the company is asking them to go forward and do this testing. We're really hoping that we can come to an agreement to where the company will start to, if they require that additional testing and screening, that they'll be able to help the membership out with paying for that. Also, fleet readiness and school bus safety is a big issue. We have professional drivers who will say a bus is not road ready. It's not ready to transport students. And it needs to be, there's maintenance issues that need to be addressed. The company will then tell them that, well, we have buses to run these routes, so you have to go out on a unsafe bus. That has led to quite a few problems going on in the bus barn, and the professional drivers, whether it's brakes, whether it's faulty windshield wipers, cracks in the windshield, this is something that they identify as being a big problem for being able to conduct operations in a safe manner. And they contest, they fight the company on it all the time. So that's a huge aspect in the safety part of it as well.
Yeah, and I've kind of mentioned this to, some people in my circle, my wife. She goes, why are these strikers on work? And I tell them about this whole healthcare issue where basically they want this third-party company to require any worker to just get any sort of medical exam. I mean, these people aren't doctors, and then force them to pay for it, which is absolutely ridiculous, right? If the employer is requiring something, the employer should pick up at least part of that tab. And we actually have a video from one of the workers on the strike line that we can play now that kind of gives his reason of why he's currently on the strike line. So let's give that a watch.
My name's Larry Russell, and I drive Route 76 out Settlers Bay down KGB. And it's a great route, great kids. The reason we're down here today is because we're trying to get things safer for the kids, trying to get the buses in order. We were driving around with mirrors that had been sandblasted from the last windstorm. We had 3 or 4 windows out in my bus. It took about a month for that stuff to come in. We're just trying to get things organized so we can get back to work. We can get Durham to come back to the table and actually negotiate. They come to the table, they're there for a couple hours, and they leave. Either they're not prepared, they got to ask somebody else. They don't want to bring the important people to talk to us, and it's just, I don't understand. We just want to get the kids to school.
And I think that is a really important message. Every worker that I've talked to when I've been out there, they just care about the kids. They want the kids to get to school safely at the end of the day. And Durham is not providing the buses or the equipment to do that. And I think that is a really important message that people need to know is these workers are striking not just for themselves, but for the safety of every single kid in the Mat-Su Valley to ensure that they can get to school safely. Because ultimately, I think that's why everyone drives a bus. That's why everyone's a bus monitor, because they love the impact that they have on these kids throughout their lives. So I think that's one thing that definitely gets lost from a lot of people that are commenting on Facebook. Why are these bus bikers? Why are these bus workers striking? It's because they care about the kids. But there's probably a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex, and that's.
Oh, go for it, Patrick.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, that's a really good point, and that's something else too. Is families in the Mat-Su Valley, they know that it's been a pretty tough winter out there with the windstorms, heavy snow, a lot of the adverse conditions, icy roads that these school bus workers are, they're being told to go out and drive, do the routes through some of the most extreme weather conditions, I would say, in the country. So in order to do that effectively, to do that safely, they need to have a bus that's working properly. And that's anything from, making sure that the brakes are working well, that they have good visibility, and heaters on the bus are operating at full capacity, especially when you're loading up 20, 30 kids into a bus. The temperature from the front of the bus to the back can, vary quite a bit. And, heater maintenance has been a big issue, and maintaining those standards. Right now, we have a school district and school board that they claim that they have nothing to do with what's going on between Union and Durham School Services, but it's also something that they have a responsibility for the welfare of these students. So when you have school bus operators, school bus monitors, attendants saying that the buses are far too cold to transport kids and not being heard from their elected representatives, that's also a tough battle that we're just in the middle of.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I know there's probably a lot of people at home watching this right now, or they're going to watch it later, and they want to help out. They want to support however they can. So how can the viewers at home support these workers that are on the strike line every single day?
Well, I appreciate that. We appreciate the patience and support we've seen from the Matsu community. A big way to help support us, I mean, of course, any sort of anything that's brought out to the strike line. We've had parents, we've had community members bring out snacks, bring out hand warmers, bring out extra gloves on the strike line. I mean, this is one of the coldest marches I can remember. So we're out there every day, and it's been brutal. But something that's very simple is if you drive past the strike line, and you see us out there, just give us a honk. I mean, throwing a honk out that you support school bus workers, coming by saying hi. I mean, we encourage members of the community to come out and just talk to some of these workers. Try to get some inside stories on support. All the school board meetings means the world to us. That just words of encouragement is pretty tremendous, and it goes a long way because all the workers, they want to get back to work. They want to do it to where we can operate these school buses safely for the kids. And we know that nobody wants this strike. No one, it's an inconvenience for a lot of people, but we assure you and the families in the Matthew Valley that this strike is going to lead to safer, more effective busing.
I love that. And again, if you're driving in the Matsu Valley and you see some people holding some signs on the side of the road, give a honk, lay on the horn, right? I think even something as little as that can give so much positivity to workers that are just cold but doing the right thing. And I know Bronson Fry from the Painters and Allied Trades was out there yesterday giving a speech, and he said something that I thought was really cool, that these workers are the tip of the spear of all workers in Alaska, right? When workers win a strike, it benefits all workers in the state because they know that our labor community comes together regardless of what union you're a part of. And when workers go on strike, workers, regardless if it's just those workers, are going to come in and we're going to help. So I think that was really cool to see yesterday, and it really just shows that Alaska is a pro-union town, and it always will be. So, Patrick, I want to thank you so much for coming on the program and for standing up for these workers and standing up for workers everywhere. And I'm sure we'll have you back on because this is an issue that's going to continue.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me on, and hopefully I'll be back on to come to you from the strike line, and you guys can kind of get a first-hand view of what it's like wearing that shirt and tie today, and it feels weird. It's the first day I've been inside for work the last couple of weeks, so I'm enjoying it, but I feel a little bit of guilt too.
Awesome. Well, folks, that is it for today's episode of Labor Live at 12:05. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you join us next week as we cover another topic impacting Alaska's workers across the state. Have a great week.